So thank you all very much for attending this talk during the lunchtime. I'm Dr. Huang Ke-Wei from NUS School of Computing, and also the newly established Asian Institute of Digital Finance, a small advertisement. So NUS, in collaboration with MAS and NRF, we just recently established the AIDF, which is a fintech center. Under the fintech center, there's research, and also we have various kind of educational program we're going to launch very soon. So today I'm going to give you a introduction about what is fintech. So before we start, let me try. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to initiate a function. Okay, now it appears. A poll function. So now every one of you may be able to see there are two short poll functions. So you can submit your answers, and to help us understand the background of all of the audience. So today's talk, it will be quite basic, it will be conceptual, okay? So, and the first question, as you can see, it's just ask you about what is your experience of using various kind of payment. And from the answers so far, I think it's about 90% of you have used new payments solutions, right? And for the second question, okay, yeah, okay, so yeah, now most of you have voted, and 90% of you use the new mobile payment. Okay, how to? Okay, let me. Okay, so maybe later I'll come back to see all of the results. Okay, but majority of you have used the new quick overview about the important concepts about fintech. So later, Edward will provide more perspectives from the industries. So I'll try my best to make the talk more interesting rather than boring. And so to start with, what is fintech? So fintech is an abbreviation of the financial technologies. So one important thing is fintech is not one small technology. Fintech refers to many different types of financial technologies. Okay, it's a very broad concept, and there's no concrete definition about what is fintech. So my definition to share with you is fintech, it refers to any new technologies that enable new products or services for finance. Okay, so very soon I'll explain what is finance and what are the new technologies, what are examples of the new technologies. So fintech, a lot of the fintech also refers to the new technologies that make traditional financial companies more efficient in providing those products and services. So traditional financial companies, I think all of us are familiar with banks, our three local banks and all of the major international banks. They all adopt a lot of new digital technologies to improve their products and services, to lower the cost, and at the same time to provide better products and services to all of the customers all over the world. So that is the high-level definition of fintech. So what is finance? So some of you may have finance background, and this is from Finance 101. Some of you may not know finance, so I think it's good for you to know at the abstract level what is finance. So for any transactions, we need some media to do transaction, right? Starting from the human history 1,000 years ago. So any individuals or firms, we need money or some new media to facilitate transactions. I think most of you, 90% of us, use even the new mobile payment solutions. Okay, so I think I don't need to explain too much about this. And there are also many, today, most of us has many bank accounts, right? And then you have bank accounts across in different countries. So you also need to move your money around all over the world within your account and make payments to credit cards. So all of these are finance. So the second thing is maybe starting from 100 years ago rather than 1,000 years ago. That's the allocation of funds. So for individual companies, some of the individuals or companies, they have extra cash, extra money, they want to invest, they want to save. At the same time, there are some individuals or companies, they want to borrow money. They are in short of capital, money. They need to borrow money to buy something or borrow money to build a new factory, do new business, right? So the financial markets, it starts from this idea. There's some intermediate provide financial services to move the money from the one they have extra cash to the parties, which can be individuals or firms. They need those cash. And the modern finance is built on the third idea. That's the allocation of risk. This will involve getting more and more complicated. And most of the finance students, I would say roughly 1/3 of their class is about risk, various kind of risk. The easier example to every one of us is insurance, right? You buy insurance contract policy from insurance companies, and when something bad happens, insurance company will pay you. That's a allocation of risk, right? You shift your risk to insurance company. At the same time, insurance, you pay something to the insurance company to compensate for they bear your risk. And the other easy example is the foreign exchange rate risk, right? If a company, they earn money in US dollar, they pay salary in Singapore dollar, then they bear exchange rate risk. And the other company is the opposite. They earn, sorry, they earn Singapore dollars, they pay costs in US dollar. Then banks in the middle or some financial market in the middle, they can help two parties to shift their risk to each other, and then everyone is better. So that's the fundamental idea of finance. Then what is the new technologies? When the new technologies on this slide marry with those traditional financial services, then we can say it's a fintech at the abstract level. So the ABCD for the fintech are artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud computing, and data. So artificial intelligence is the hottest topic nowadays. At School of Computing, we have several undergraduate programs, master program or master specialization. And AI is the hottest in recent years. Okay, when we launched it the first year, immediately we received the largest number of applicants. So now computer can read and can understand documents, can even create some of the documents. Computer can see image, can really understand image or video to a certain extent. Computer can understand voice. So every one of us has experience using Siri, or if you use Android, there's similar products. And there are many similar products in the markets now. That shows computer now they can understand human language. They can also speak more like a human being. So because of that, there are numerous evolving applications of the AI. Okay, so the blockchain is more complicated. If we define fintech more narrowly, I would say among the ABCD, only blockchain is fintech. If we want to put an equation mark, because AI, cloud computing data are general purpose. It can be applied to any other areas. It can be applied to marketing, applied to healthcare, applied to many other things. Blockchain is more about finance and security. Okay, so it's also technically more complicated. The easiest application I think every one of us may heard about is cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. Okay, and blockchain can be used for smart contracts and a lot of the new innovation. So it could be a very important and critical disruptive innovation among all of the fintech. Okay, so the cloud computing is this. So when we first start computer, we have the client server architecture. There's only a powerful computer there, which is server, can do all of the job. And later, when the computer getting better and better, every one of us has a PC. I think if you are old enough, you experience that period. That means everyone has an individual computer. You don't have network, right? And then in year 2000, we started to have internet. Once we have the internet, a lot of things connect the computers together, and there are more and more companies, they started to provide cloud computing services. Now, if you want to build a website, you don't need to buy a computer in your company. You don't need to host a server. There is another company, they have a lot of hundreds, thousands, or even more computers, and they provide the shared computing power, memory, storage to customers all over the world. If you want to have a company, want to have a website, you want to do some complicated AI computation, you buy from those cloud computing service providers, right? You host your software website at those companies. It's somewhere else in the world. You don't need to buy the hardware. You don't need to buy a powerful computer in your company or at your home. So that's cloud computing. And a lot of the fintech innovation involves building some kind of marketplace or platform. Then a lot of time it's a cloud computing application. So the fourth one, D, data. So it means the data, you heard about big data, data modeling, data forecasting. So for me, as a researcher, actually that's my research expertise when compared to the ABC. I do a lot of data forecasting projects at School of Computing. So now because of the evolving of say cloud computing and the other technologies, it's easier for us to process large number of data and also easier to use some of the algorithm that was very slow in the past. Now because of the computing power is much better, so those algorithms becomes also much more powerful and useful. So that's one thing. The other thing is because of AI. So a lot of time in the past, say 20 years ago, we cannot use unstructured data. Unstructured data means document, image, video, or audio. We cannot use those information to make prediction. Now, because of AI, we can convert document, video, audio into some kind of numbers. Then we use those numbers to predict something. The performance of prediction becomes much better. So there are a lot of new applications built upon big data and data analytics. So those are the A, B, C, D. So fintech company usually they pick one of the A or B or C or D together with one of the financial service and create a new innovation. So the next level, so what are the categories of fintech innovation? So a lot of the lectures will give you this kind of categorizations. So the one of the largest fintech innovation is about payment, money transfer or e-wallet, mobile wallet. That's also why I have the poll earlier. So I'll give you some examples on the next slide. The second largest category is borrowing and the lending. It maps to the second most important traditional finance. A lot of people need to borrow money or they have extra money, they want to do investment. Especially in the last 5-10 years, the interest rate, if you want to do investment, you put in the 3 local banks, you get 1%, right? Or even lower. So a lot of individual or companies, they seek various kind of investment opportunities. So there are a lot of innovations to provide new investment opportunities to individuals or companies. So through fintech innovations. The third category is personal finance. In USA, the tax policy is very complicated. And also people have a lot of bank account and credit card accounts. So they need some software to help them to manage their personal finance. And at the same time, a lot of the customers or investors all over the world, they don't have that much of finance knowledge. They don't know how to invest. And the financial market is getting more and more complicated. There are a lot of derivatives, many stocks, many shares for you to invest, and all over the world, right? In any one of the country, you can invest the stock market in all other countries. So it's getting more and more complicated. So there are a lot of personal finance fintech innovation is trying to alleviate the burden on the consumers. They provide AI such as robo-advisor, chatbot, or other functions, features to help the individuals to manage their personal finance. Or similarly, SME also need this kind of products or service to do better their financial management. So that's the third category. The fourth category is cryptocurrencies and blockchain applications. So this, I think this relatively is more complicated to explain in, say, such a kind of 101 classes. It will take longer time. So basically, blockchain becomes famous first because of the cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin and many others, right? And then the underlying technology is a distributed ledger. It's a very unique, smart security algorithm, put it this way. So there are a lot of potential important applications in finance because it's not just for the settlement of the money, the cryptocurrency transactions. It can be used to settle other kind of contracts transactions. If you have experience at bank, a lot of the settlement of the contracts takes a lot of the paperwork. and in the current status. So in the future, if we can use blockchain or AI to automate the process, it can save a lot of the costs to the financial institutions. So that's the fourth category. The fifth category is AI, and I categorize it. I think if you go to any references, they may have the 1, 2, 3, 4. The number 5 actually is a big area, at least from my view. In US, we have a lot of students, as all of you know. We have a lot of internships. We have a lot of collaboration with the financial institutions in Singapore. So a lot of projects with those banks, they are applying AI and big data to improve their internal processes. So they can be considered as a regulatory reg tech, insurance tech, biometrics to do various kind of authentications, and cyber security, among many, many others. Okay, so those are all considered as fintech. Some of the innovation is done by the banks. Some of the innovation is done by the startup, and then the bank may pay the startup to do certain services. The number 6 is digital bank, which is about our second poll, and I think the result is announced last week. And also, there are many other financial services that can be digitized or has been digitized or is being digitizing. And all of those are important fintech innovations. So to give you some more ideas, more concrete example, so the oldest payment innovations is PayPal. I don't know how many of you know PayPal's history. In the early, around 2000, we first have eBay, which is an online auction platform in USA. So there are a lot of transactions, but it's not very easy to pay. And the eBay is C2C. That means some individuals in USA, they post something they don't need on eBay and sell to other people through auction. So on one hand, it's fun, and it's also a new marketplace. When it first appeared, there's no easy way to make payment in USA on eBay. So PayPal target that underserved market to provide payment services. And then later it becomes so successful, it becomes the de facto payment solution over the internet. And it becomes a general purpose, say e-payment solution over the internet. So that's the first example. So a lot of payment solutions, they started with a target group of customer, and they are underserved. It's very inconvenient for them to use or very expensive for them to use existing services. Then they use the new technologies to improve the process, make it more convenient and also cheaper to do transactions. So the second example is Square. It's relatively new, maybe started around 10 years ago. When people in USA, people use a lot of the credit card, but there's some group of people, they cannot accept credit card payment. And if they can accept credit card payment, it becomes much more convenient for them to do transactions. Otherwise, they need to take cash, right? The examples are street vendors and violin teacher, any kind of home-based teaching services, or babysitter, nanny, or cleaning services. That kind of group of service providers. Without this innovation, they cannot take credit card. They take cash usually, or bank transfer, right? So the Square idea is when everyone has smartphone and the smartphone connect to internet by 3G, then we can add a small device, which is this one, to your smartphone. Then they can take credit card. It's very clever. And then it becomes a big success. So that's another early innovation of fintech in the payment. Okay, so nowadays we still have a lot of new fintech payment innovations. So the third one is money transfer, right? So in Singapore, there are a lot of foreigners, including me. I'm originally from Taiwan. So once in a while, I also need to transfer money back to Taiwan. So many foreigners, they need to transfer the money outside of Singapore. So if we do it by bank, now it's quite convenient. But I would say when I first come to Singapore 15 years ago, it's not that convenient. And but now it's quite convenient. But using those services are expensive. To me, even I say it's expensive, then you can imagine some of the foreigners, they will think it's really, they cannot afford it. So they need alternatives. So a lot of fintech, modern payment solutions or money transfer solution, they target at those group of people. And in Singapore or in developing country where there's they don't have access to traditional banks, credit cards, like in those developed countries. Okay. The next example, online lending on borrowing. In some countries, this is allowed. One of the most earlier successful example is called prosper.com from USA. So the idea is this: if you need money, you go to this website, you post, say how much money I want and why I need those money, and you borrow from someone random from the internet. And if you are an investor, you can go there, you select some of the people you like, you lend the money to those people. Okay, so roughly speaking, that's the online lending. And there are many different innovations and combinations. The other famous one is Kickstarter.com. So the entrepreneur, they post their ideas about a product on a website, and the other people, they can invest money into those projects. But what they get in return are the products rather than stock shares. But of course, there are other websites, what they offer is stock shares. So you can imagine, if you know some traditional finance, any combination of the traditional finance on the internet business model, it has been tried in the world, somewhere in the world. So that's the another example of fintech innovation. Okay, so the next slide will quickly just briefly summarize what are the potential impacts of fintech on us. Us means consumer and consumer. From my view, I would say consumer, roughly speaking, only benefit. Consumer will be empowered more financial product, more financial services, and you will be cheaper, you will be more convenient to use. And I only see benefit as a consumer, so you don't need to worry about that. And in the future, you can do transactions by one click on the phone or computer or other new smart devices, because the other important, new trend is the Internet of Things. So a lot of the smart home appliances, they connect to the internet. So it could be, there are already some innovations. You can click on those smart devices, you do some kind of transactions, and you make payment, right? All of it is better for consumers. There are more innovations, make our life easier and cheaper. And the financial services, it can be provided by companies which are not banks or insurance companies. It can become from, and a lot of them are coming from IT companies. That's another unique thing. So if you are entrepreneurs, there are a lot of new business opportunities. So every year there are hundreds of new fintech startups we try to work with in Singapore. And also, I think overall, there are more job opportunities in the financial industry and fintech industry together, because it's like the pie is bigger. There are more new products, new services to customers. So, sorry. So next, I'll turn over to Edward. He's from Razer Fintech. He will share with you about related cases at Razer. Thank you. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. And I guess it's a good segue, because you're talking about companies who are not traditional financial services companies starting to offer fintech services. So as just a matter of introduction, I'm Eduard Fabian. I am the CTO for Razer Fintech, and probably you know that we have also applied for the digital bank license here in Singapore. Unfortunately, we didn't get the license. However, we're happy that the Singapore digital banking market is opening up. But from Razer's point of view, we're replanning and pushing forward with the youth bank strategy, but we'll not start in Singapore. Now, coming back to some of the discussions that and comments from so far, fintech, I think fintech existed since the early digitization of financial services, mainframe computing, and later, just overall computers, servers, digital services have all contributed to digitizing fintech. However, as a term which has been coined as an industry term is more recent, and it's really linked to new companies, new entrants who come into the financial services space, and they're looking to offer new services or solutions, or even have the ambition to disrupt existing incumbents through the use of technology and financial services. And it's a very, very exciting space. So myself personally, I joined financial services about 10 years ago in Citibank, and I worked for Citi for about 7 years. Then I worked for United Overseas Bank here in Singapore, and I'm with Razer Fintech. And what I can tell you is that more and more companies and more people are looking at fintech as an opportunity. And just coming back to Razer, we are a gaming company at core. We have a very strong global brand. We have a hardware business, which is still most of our revenue. We have a software business, which is growing. And the services business, which includes Razer Gold and Razer Fintech, are the newest additions, but they're the highest growth businesses. So what drives all this? So first of all, through new innovations, through new technology, it is possible to deliver financial services digitally, and you don't have to go to a bank, and lately you don't even have to go to a banking mobile app to do banking or payments. There are many players out there who will give you what it's called even banking as a service these days. So an Apple, Google, or a Razer, we can also offer now financial services to end users through writing other people's technology, writing our own technology. And that's really a matter of choice these days and can be a hybrid of both. I think what is still important to understand is that to do fintech, it's still a licensed business. And to do payments, you need a payments license. To do insurance, you need an insurance license. To build a bank, you need a bank license. However, there are more and more business models out there where you can leverage somebody else's license to do financial services. So in our case, Razer, we have licenses in Malaysia and Singapore, and we have Razer Pay, we can do payments. But on the other hand, partnering with partner banks, we can expand these services into other geographies as well, or partner payment companies if you want to offer payments, or partner banks if you want to offer banking services. I think that's the most exciting part now, that at the end of the day, consumers will be able to benefit of financial services in the experience of their choice. So for example, if you're shopping on a website, you probably not go to the bank anymore to get a loan. You'll get the loan straight on the website when you do the shopping. If you're buying a car, probably you are going to get the loan where you're buying the car as opposed to go to the bank. If you're playing a game, maybe in the near future, there'll be virtual worlds and there'll be virtual banks as well, and you'll do your banking in the game. Or more to today's world, if you're on a messaging app like WhatsApp or WeChat, instead of going back to a banking app, you will do your banking in that app. So to make all this possible, again, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. Some company needs to have a license, some other companies to have the tech, and the integration needs to happen. But if you really look at it, it all benefits the consumers, and there'll be more and more financial services which will be personalized. And I think this is the other point I'd like to make, and in a way the final point just from my intro. Personalization is key. Before, everyone used to get the same services. Like even today, if you go to a local bank, probably if you go to the bank, or your father or mother goes to the bank, or your son or daughter goes to the bank, you'll get the same service. You'll get the same mobile app, you'll get the same products. Maybe there will be some slight personalization in branding, but it's not going to be personalized to you. And this is the other exciting part of the fintech journey. Now, through the use of technology, through the commoditization in a way of access to this technology, you'll be able to get personalized services. So one example could be, if you're an Apple user, you'll be able to use the Apple Card, which the Apple Card is personalized for Apple products and services. However, if you're a Razer user, now you can use the Razer Card, which is personalized to Razer products and services. So that's one level of personalization, which a bank will never give you. However, if you dig down deeper, we in Razer were looking to go even deeper than that. And our first card that we launched is a gamer's card, but we're also exploring cards for other lifestyles and take it as far as, hyper-personalizing per individual users. So sort of to wrap it up, finance is moving on from traditional banks and financial services providers to being able to do financial transactions, to be able to benefit of financial services pretty much everywhere, anywhere, And this is through the power of technology and power of fintech. And the end benefactor of this will be the users, the consumers, who will be able to get those services wherever they want to, whenever they want to, and of course, in a personalized manner as opposed to what has happening so far before. So let me stop here and open up for dialogue and open up for questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, so there's actually a question from Don Yam. He's asking that it seems that many different organizations are working to offer similar things. Isn't this like a wastage of resources? Wouldn't it be better to work together?
Okay, so maybe I provide a quick response first, and then Edward can add from the industry viewpoint. So from the academics viewpoint, definitely, I think the answer, it depends, because in general, the free market is, there are more companies enter the market, and the competition will make the product better and also the price lower. So, so in general, competition is good. So we will have a lot of new entrants, and it helps the world better, except in some few cases where there is, from the theory's viewpoint, economies of scale. Say we build out the infrastructure, right? If you build 10 infrastructure in a small country like Singapore, then it's a waste of resources. So I would say in most of the cases I know about fintech, and competition probably is good. We are not wasting of the resources. And also a lot of the fintech company, although they are based in Singapore, we target not just in Singapore, we target in the ASEAN or even the world. That's my view. Edward?
Yeah, I think there are all kinds of opportunities opened up by a lot of players playing. One of them is competition, which again is good for the users. The other one is cooperation and collaboration. And we have always said that we don't want to build everything. And our strategy for building the youth bank is an open bank strategy. What does this mean? It means that we're going to assemble best-in-class partners. So for example, I can take core banking from one company, I can take a lending engine from another company. And at the end of the day, what we do is, first of all, piecing it all together, but really focusing on personalizing the experience. So we want the user experience, and user experience personalization is typically driven through data. So we're in a scenario where everyone plays to their strengths and innovates in their own particular area. So instead of us thinking about how to innovate in gamification, or us thinking how to innovate in lending, our partner is doing that. And because our partner works with others, we'll not only benefit from our own ideas, but we'll benefit from the ideas of other customers as well. So I think it's a strong case to be made for collaboration. And again, this is enabled by technology, because open architectures, open banking, open APIs are not possible. These were not possible a few years ago. And then from lower down the stack, cloud computing also helps with this, because if you build something, let's say in Singapore, then it's very, very easy to deploy into other geographies as well.
Thank you. So the next question, I think, is to me about if someone wants to set up a fintech subsidiary or company startup, what kind of support can get from NUS? So NUS, we have a lot of education programs related to fintech, and a lot of them are new initiatives. Depending on, so for the education, we have Scale, which is a professional study school. They provide various kind of program to train the working adults, but that's a longer program. At School of Computing, we also have a STMI. Under it, have a lot of training classes, which is short term, maybe 1 week, to train, provide various kind of fintech classes. And the new Asian Institute of Digital Finance, the fintech center. So we just started. So we will offer new training classes starting from next semester, maybe in 3 months. And a business school, NUS Business School, we also provide fintech classes, but that's more for executives at the conceptual level. So it depends on your need for the education. I think we provide we try to create a program that fit the needs of all kinds of demand. And if you're talking about the research collaboration and or internship collaboration, then maybe you can contact our School of Computing's publicity office. They will direct you to the right professor in charge of the internship or research collaboration opportunities. So the Asian Institute of Digital Finance, the FinTech Center, we will also have a contact window for that. We haven't been very officially started yet. So we are almost, there are several things we are under approval. So maybe after 3 to 6 months, you can also Google, find our website, find the person, the contact window, and you can contact us. So that's about the NUS support. So the next question, what are your takes on digital currency, cryptocurrency, and the scene in Singapore in the years to come? Okay. So my short answer, this is not, I know roughly, but I think a lot of them depends on the MAS. The MAS will decide the policy and the cryptocurrency, whether it's allowed, how it can be used. And I think needs government regulation. That will be my view because I'm not involved, so I don't want to say too much wrong information here, especially you mentioned in the Singapore years to come. I guess the government will decide the correct policy as usual and for this area. Oh, Edward, do you have anything to add about cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think for crypto to really take off, the regulatory framework needs to follow. As long as it's not regulated, it's not part of the real economy. It's still something that people can do. Like, for example, Bitcoin is not seen as the new gold, and that's fine. People can believe in that and invest in that, no problem. But I think digital currency will be issued by central banks. So China, they have already issued their digital currency. It's being tested. The other central banks discussing this all over the world. And at the end of the day, what will happen is paper money will be replaced by digital money. That's clearly the trend. And blockchain is just a piece of technology which will power all these currencies, right? So, because you see the innovation with blockchain is really around trust and really coming up with a new model of decentralization as well. But on the other hand, can enable any kind of currency, and I see central banks embracing that. So I think Singapore is on the same path as well. DBS just announced the other day that they're also launching a crypto exchange in partnership with SGX. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 5 years we'll all be using central bank issued cryptocurrencies.
Thank you. Very good. So I think the next question, without a digital banking license, how would it impact the cost effectiveness to offer financial service? I think probably this question is to Edward.
I'm not sure I fully understand the question, but the license is one thing. It will give you the possibility to build a bank. However, the cost effectiveness, it really depends on how are you going to build a bank. So if you are going to hire a lot of people and build a lot of servers and data centers and so on, you will not be different from an incumbent bank. But in the meantime, if you are a very digital bank where you operate a lean operating model, you run out of the cloud, you rely on partners, you potentially have a much lower operating cost, and then lower cost to you means that you can transfer that saving to the customers and you can give a lower price for the financial services as well. But in the meantime, competition is always good. So I can see how over the next 5 years in Singapore with the new entrants, competition will increase and the consumers will benefit and probably the financial service is going to become cheaper.
Thank you. So I think the next question is to me. Maybe some of the audience are interested in that. For a person who are trained in financial accounting, what training is needed to move to career opportunities in fintech? Okay. So at the fintech startups or fintech division are banks. So they have the various kind of traditional business analyst jobs. So that's one area, direct area for this kind of say professionals professions you can work in. If you mean you want to do the technical jobs, I think a lot of the fintech companies, banks or startups, what they are in urgent demand are the programmers in the plain words, various kind of fintech programmers. And actually, I'm also in charge at the School of Computing. We are setting up new FinTech PhD program and the FinTech master programs to target to fill the demand of this area. And I in discussion with various people about how to design our program so we can train us more FinTech talents as much possible. And the one question is exactly whether we can design the curriculum to help the business background students to become the qualified FinTech programmers, in short. Okay, so I think it depends on the student's background. If the student has strong background in data science and statistics, then it's easier for them to become a data analyst, data scientist, which is probably there's no problem. If the student want to become a more like AI software developer type of job role or cloud computing blockchain programmers, that's more demanding on the programming side. Okay, then I think it's not impossible, but it depends on the students, how to say, the talent and the interest in learning advanced programming, in short. So I will say this way. So for the FinTech Master Program at NUS, we're going to start the admission soon. It will start next August.
Do you just lose connection or?
Prof, I think you are losing connection.
It's okay, I can take the next question, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the next question is, what is a youth bank, right? And our vision for a youth bank is, again, a bank which is designed and personalized for what we call youth and millennials. And we believe that this segment is an underserved segment. Typically, banks focus on where they make more money, and this would be the richer people, the older people, which leaves the youth segment underserved. And it's underserved both from a consumer point of view, but also from a corporate point of view. So as a consumer, opening a bank account, getting access to a loan, getting access to a card, I think these can be done better for the youth segment. And also, not only, again, from a just pure product point of view, but also from a user experience point of view, because youth have an expectation to get the user experience, which is more like to what they get from the Facebooks and Googles and Instagrams of the world. On the corporate side, I think the situation is even more obvious. To open a corporate account is even more harder, and especially getting access to a business loan is harder than getting access to a personal loan. So again, a youth bank would be able to solve these problems with personalized user experience and personalized product as well. So I hope that answers the question. And I see Andrew's question as well, talking about traditional banks. And it's sort of tied together. As a digital bank, it doesn't really mean that you wouldn't want to target higher net worth individuals. You can build a digital bank targeted to higher net worth individuals, no problem. However, for us, Razer, it makes more sense to build a youth bank because our gaming brand and gaming heritage, we really understand the youth really, really well. Now, if you're a different kind of company, I don't know, you deal more with high net worth individuals, no one will stop you from building a bank for high net worth individuals. The technology is there. If you are in a market where you can get a license, go ahead and get a license. And I still think you can go with a digital model and not necessarily with a more traditional model. Okay. Should I keep going, answering more questions, or?
Sorry, I cannot see the questions anymore. Sorry, the internet disconnected. I rejoined, then I don't see questions.
Down on the Q&A, you have the button Q&A.
Yeah, I cannot see Q&A history. Yeah, I'm trying to get the history. So there's
the
a
next
new question.
I'll read it out. The next question is, what is the demand-supply condition of fintech talent in Singapore to support the new startup? So I can see that demand exceeds supply, but Professor Huang, you tell us more about the supply of talent, right?
The supply, demand of the fintech services or the talent, or?
Of the talent in the Singapore market.
Okay, so I would say now definitely under supply. I'm very sure there's only one Fintech Master Program provided by NTU starting last year. So at the master program level, there's almost no supply, right? So most of the fintech startup, fintech bank, or traditional banks, when they hire fintech professionals, they come in from other background. It could be from CS, it could be from finance, or it could only also from business analytics or statistics. There's no specialized degree or program for fintech. Okay, and I read a lot of the report. So for now, roughly speaking, also a lot of the positions are filled by foreign talents rather by local talents. So so the demand and supply locally, I think now is still say there is a demand, there is a supply shortage. The demand is larger than supply.
I fully agree, and I think this is a great opportunity for folks to get into fintech, especially if you're a Singaporean or PR. I'm sure there will be also the new digital banks will want to hire you.
Yes.
Okay, so I see the next question is, what are the largest costs for a digital bank? Well, first of all, I can tell you what are the largest costs for a traditional bank. So a traditional bank typically operates branches, so that would be a very large cost because it's real estate, it's people. Then once also traditional banks operate data centers instead of running out of cloud. So that's another cost which they incur in terms of the facilities, the servers, the electricity, and all that. And then typically traditional banks, because they deal in branches, they generate a lot of paper, and paper gets processed by operations. So that's another cost. So we'd have a lot of people. And one of our local banks, they have tens of thousands of people employed in Singapore. Now, that's good for employment. However, it's not that great from a user experience and a cost point of view. And again, if you're operating a more costly business, probably your prices are going to be typically higher. So as a digital bank, if you run out, first of all, if you don't have branches, you don't have that cost. If you run out of the cloud and you don't have the data centers, you don't have the cost. If you run an end-to-end digital model, you don't need the operations people. So you can really run very lean. And if you've seen the Grab announcement, they're going to hire about 200 people. So that's a few orders of magnitude less than a traditional bank. And you can do that. So then to answer the specific question, what is the largest cost? I would still think that the largest cost for a digital bank will be building the brand and user acquisition. Because if you have a brand that no one knows and you don't have new users, that's where you're going to spend most of the money. And you can see around the world that this is where digital banks are failing, where they are not able to acquire users, not able to build the brand in the right way to also keep the users in a sticky fashion. So the name of the game is really make sure you build your brand, acquire the right users, and then keep. Okay. Do I take the next one? New Razer cryptocurrencies? I don't know. Never say never. Then how about the safety and security of fintech investments when the new billions of dollars can be moved without trace, leaving investors in lurch? I think fintech shouldn't be thought as necessarily as fraud, but there is an element of security and also trust, and that's why fintechs are still regulated entities. If you're a payments company, you need a payments license. If you're a bank, you need a bank. And as a regulated entity, you have responsibilities towards your customers, but you have also responsibilities towards the regulator, right? And then the regulators, they're putting strict frameworks in place about how you manage data, how you manage money, how you manage cybersecurity. So I would strongly advise every one of you not to use fintechs who you don't trust, who you don't know, who are not regulated, and if your risk appetite is not as high, work with fintechs out of Singapore. And I think in Singapore there's plenty of fintech that can give you what you're looking for. I took a Grab ride the other day, and the driver told me that he got defrauded by a company from the UK. Now, when you deal digitally, you don't even know if that company was really in the UK or not. So choose Singaporean fintech, support the local ecosystem, and they're regulated by the NUS, and I think everything is going to be fine. Okay, I think these are the questions. Okay, I guess if there are no more questions, from my point of view, exciting times for finance. I think anyone who looks for opportunities in the fintech space, I'm sure there's plenty out there. So I'm very, very optimistic despite of the craziness that's going outside in the world. I think that will pass as well. and we'll all be better and stronger afterwards.
Yes, yes.
There's one more question here from Andrew Kwek. With more liberalizations and advancement in technology, what will become to the value of traditional Bitcoin as we know it?
I can't comment on the value of Bitcoin, sorry.
Okay, are there any more questions from the audience? Okay.
Yes. I totally agree. I think now it's an exciting time for fintech, and I think most of the audience today, since you attend here, you are very interested in fintech, and if you are relatively young students, then you can pay attention to the website at School of Computing NUS. Like I mentioned earlier, we have various kind of educational programs. It could be a short-term, 1 week, or it could be the full-fledged PhD master programs. If you are interested in, or you can submit your applications. So we welcome everyone interested in fintech to join the this exciting opportunity. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you
Yes,
for.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
For the
Thank
very
you.
interesting session.
Thank you, Mr. Eduard. Thank you, Prof. Huang.
Yeah. Okay. Lastly, if you have any questions, if you are keen to have a whole of the slides, don't worry, we will circulate it to everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.